You're listening to Healthy Aging and Healthy Living on New England's News and Talk Radio, 8:30 a.m. WCRN.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Peter Lee, the Healthy Aging, Healthy Living. I'm a hearing instrument specialist with a practice in professional hearing in Westboro. And we're here with Jane, who's a patient of ours who's just spent some wonderful time with wonderful stories telling us about her journey to better hearing. Welcome back, Jane.
Welcome.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the processes that you went through with us after you took your first step in to get your hearing tested?
Well, I first of all was to have the preliminary hearing test, then going in for the full evaluation, and then sitting there and trying different hearing aids and the frequency. Everything is so technical now, and I found that extremely helpful because it wasn't like buying a pair of shoes where you go in and you try them on and they fit and you buy them. It's an adjustment. It's a journey. It takes some time to adjust it to what you can hear. I was fortunate being able for the Lees to allow me to take and wear them on a trial basis to the areas that I was involved in, not just in their office. You can hear fine in the office. It's quiet all around. But when you get out into the world that I live in, I wanted to be able to try that out, and I was able to do that.
So you had a real-world experience to see how these work when you took them home.
Right.
And to work, and to church.
Yep, into church and to the restaurants, anywhere I went. I mean, they were in all day long. I remember Mr. Lee telling me the first day, try to leave them in 3 or 4 hours to get used to them. Heck, the first day they were in 6 hours, and the next day it was 16 to 18 almost every single day since then. Again, you have to be ready to do this. You have to be committed to hearing loss.
I'm going to stop you here, Jane, because I think there's one thing that I observe in the people that come in and are successful. It's an individual's ability to adapt to change. Those who can adapt to change can gravitate to this new form of hearing very quickly. There are others who are not quite as ready to adapt to change. And we find that's why we start them off at 3, 6. We'd start them off a little slower because it would be too much to immerse them in 12 hours a day in the beginning. But we hope to get them there by the end of the first month. But at least I think you have a terrific ability to adapt to change.
In most cases, yeah. But I just think if people can just try them and see how different it is in conversations. I mean, just even walking around the building down there, it was such a difference. And the traffic makes so much noise. People are noisy. And you can just say to yourself, you know, I missed all that. Yeah. But I think that coming to the office, and I had written the Lees a letter when I finished, after about 8 months, after I really got used to them, and said how it's like going to visit your best friend. You come in the office, they're friendly, they're nice, they're courteous, but they're very knowledgeable in what they're doing. And I find that I'm very relaxed going in. If I'm having an adjustment problem, I just pick up the phone and call and go in. They're very willing to see you because they want you to hear the very best you can, too. And I think that's where we have to people have to realize that it's not going to take 1 or 2 appointments. It might take 3. I think I had 4 at the beginning. But then I got to the point where I could really hear very well. Again, church was my major concern. I could hear very well at church. I could hear at the meetings I was going to and anywhere else I went to. Even my neighbors, when I'd go to visit them, and I would notice a difference.
It makes you feel more connected to the people around you when you can hear them.
That's right. I think you know, people have to come in and talk it over. There was absolutely no pressure to buy these whatsoever. Yes, it is an expense, but the expense is I don't gamble, I don't smoke, I don't drink. So you know, you plan on those things and you work it into your budget like you do anything else.
Well, the way we look at it is, if we can help you hear better, then you just have to prioritize how you're going to budget this for yourself. And you don't always have to get the most expensive ones.
No.
There are less expensive ones that, I don't want to say work just as well, but we have products for everybody's budget. Mm-hmm. That's the nice thing.
That's what I think is so good, is there was an option. Right. Options are important to people, and I think that's where you need to look at things, but I also think just to come in and see and experience what is available, to know that something is there to help you. And more than likely, you're going to walk out with a set of hearing aids because you notice the difference right away.
Well, if we help you hear better and you improve your quality of life, unless they're very, very severely strapped financially, there isn't any reason not to move forward for it.
And they have budget plans. People can pay, a little bit at a time. It's not like you have to come up with all of the money all at once.
We do have multiple budget plans.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we wrap this up, Jane, there's one more incident that you talked about, which was that you used to be a very social person after work, and you used to go to all these after-work meetings. But once your hearing started to recede, then you found yourself more and more isolated and withdrawal. And then I remember you saying to us maybe a couple months ago that you're so much more active after work now, because now that you can hear, you resume your activity. Can you share with us that story? Because I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't even realize, that they withdraw in those situations.
I think I used all my energy at work trying to hear, and I was exhausted when I'd get home from work, so I stopped going to places. It takes a lot to strain to hear other people speak, and you don't know how hard that is until you've experienced it. And I noticed that I started having more energy. I started going out places with people that I've kind of put aside for years, not because I didn't want to be with them, just I couldn't hear them, so I didn't. But I think that people don't realize how much energy it takes to try to hear and work, and at work or in their social life or anywhere else. And I think that that's important.
That is a major step, because it does take a lot of effort to hear when you're having difficulty. It's sort of like listening through earplugs. Mm-hmm. I remember I had one young lady come in tell me once that she was a relatively young lady, she's in the mid-40s maybe, and she had a hearing loss in both ears, and she hadn't realized that until I corrected her. And all of a sudden, she told me that it felt like she was walking around in a telephone booth without her hearing aids. That means like 12 inches all the way around. That was her world. Mm-hmm. And then now I've opened up the world to like 10 feet in every direction. So it was like a brand new world of expansion. Mm-hmm. And that's where the effort goes in. Right now, you don't need to exert that effort to be able to hear those sounds.
No. And I have the energy to do other things, which I want to do. But one of the things I do want to bring up is I couldn't hear footsteps behind me if somebody was coming up behind me, and they'd be there and I'd be startled. Now I can hear that, and when I drop things on the floor, I can hear them before I
You can hear them drop, at least you know that something happened.
I dropped something.
Yeah, that's just a little thing, but if you have a tendency to drop a pencil or drop something away, you want to be able to hear that.
You could trip over it again.
Yeah, you could be like oblivious or something like that.
Yeah, you could get hurt by not knowing that, by it being in the way and not knowing you dropped it and you step on it and you can go flying,
Well, you've given us some very good practical advice, coming in and getting a hearing screening from us. Anybody that's listening to this, if either you or a loved one have any difficulty with your hearing, please give us a call at 508-366-8686, or even visit our website, www.prohearinghealth.com. But before I let you go, Jane, if your best friend was here and he or she was having some difficulty hearing, what would you say to her to motivate her to do something or him to do something?
Say, let's go together and have an evaluation, and say that I'm not hesitant to say to people, I think your hearing loss is going, or let's go evaluate what the situation is. But offer to go with them, because a lot of people are afraid to go alone. I'm not. I'm used to doing things alone, and I like this. And I think that would be a good thing, is to offer to assist them with this, and let them know that you notice a difference and you care about them so much that you want them to do something.
You're a great friend, Jane. Be a support system.
And like I said, I wrote this letter, and at the end I said, I tell people now, it's nice to see and hear you again.
You're a great support system for those who have difficulty hearing. And you're a shining example of someone who's really taken the bull by the horns and acted and has benefited with amplification, hearing, and hearing aids. Well, we're wrapping this up, folks. Alex, I know you've worked with Jane a little bit more than I have. Do you have some insights into her story?
Yeah, I absolutely love working with Jane. She's such an upbeat and positive person. And when we first met her, she was so eager to hear better. We categorize her hearing loss as a mild hearing loss, and we see so many patients in our office that have a much more severe hearing loss than her. But we could see, she told us about how much she struggled even with what we call a mild hearing loss. And I love how much she stressed at the importance of how much treating hearing loss is a process. It really takes a lot of steps, and we're willing to take you step by step to rehabilitate your hearing loss.
Great. She really articulated for us a wonderful journey to better hearing. You're listening to Peter Lee, Healthy Aging, Healthy Living. Stay young, think young, and be young.
You've been listening to Healthy Aging, Healthy Living on New England's News and Talk Radio, WCRN AM 830.